7. Barrett outside the switch. Doncic goes over. And then he hammers it home. Broke his ankles.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are doing well, and I just thought it would be perfect timing to make this video because he actually went off 2 nights ago. He carried his team, or one of the top options on his team, like for the Dallas Mavericks as of late. He's made a huge leap this season. It's just perfect timing to make this video. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer or this offseason. And yes, you guessed it, Jalen Brunson. He dropped 41 points versus the Utah Jazz to tie up the first round matchup 1-1. No Luka Doncic for the Dallas Mavericks, and Jalen Brunson was absolutely brilliant. 41 points on good efficiency, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He really is kind of an old school physical guard. He may not have the sexy athletic style of play, but he gets it done. And Jalen Brunson, his trade value, or not his trade value, his market probably really went up after that game. If there was any questions of how is he without a big-time star, can he step up in the big-time moments, and we saw what he was able to do with these off-balance jumpers, what he's capable of from mid-range territory, from the outside on the perimeter. Like, he has a pretty deep bag of moves as well. If you didn't know, he's one of the most efficient players in the league when it comes to isolation situations, which I think is really crucial, especially if the New York Knicks are looking for that shot creator that can also distribute the basketball at the point guard position moving forward. I like Quickly, but we don't know what World Wide West's insight is, or his perspective. Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, we don't know their thoughts yet on the point guard position officially moving forward. Do they believe in Quickly as that starter? Yes, I would definitely love him to develop into that starting point guard moving forward and for him to be very successful. But at the end of the day, we just do not know. You have World Wide West going to the Mavericks and Jazz game. Are they scouting out Jalen Brunson? What's another reason he would be there? You have Julius Randle there. He's from Texas. Maybe that's the only reason he's there. Or maybe Julius Randle's just trying to study these players and he's trying to become better as a basketball player, and World Wide West is there just to support him and just say, I'm here for you, I want you to progress and become a better basketball player. You really don't know their insight at the end of the day, or at least when I'm recording this video. You don't know what's really coming out. So Jalen Brunson's set to be an unrestricted free agent, and the Dallas Mavericks are stuck in this weird position. You give Luka Doncic obviously the super max, he deserves it, $200 million, a mega deal, one of the best players in the league. You extend Dorian Finney-Smith, which I thought was very questionable. Not that he's not a good player, he's definitely a culture stability type of player you want to have to be a part of your basketball club for a very long time. But I was like, that's interesting that they're extending him now. Does that mean that they don't want Jalen Brunson back? Do they know that we're not going to be able to afford Jalen Brunson? He just showed he could, obviously this is before he showed up in that big time game too, but you already saw Jalen Brunson's progression as one of the best backup point guards, and then he got his minutes, or he started to have an expand a role and started to progress better as a basketball player, and we've just seen the huge leap he's made this season, especially when it comes to his deep bag. But will they be able to afford him? It's going to be really interesting. You have Spencer Dinwiddie under the books. You have Davis Bertans, of course. You traded Porzingis, who had this huge deal, but then you kind of were like, maybe we can get more flexibility if we trade for 2 contracts, but they're not as big as Porzingis is. But if you put them together, it's the same. So that's kind of how they came together with that deal of the Mavericks and the Wizards. Maybe a change of scenery is good for Porzingis, and we'll get that huge contract off your hands, but we're still going to have to equal it out, and maybe you can make it work with these pieces, or maybe it's more flexible for you guys. So I thought it was kind of a fair trade, if you know what I'm saying. So you have Dinwiddie you have to pay, you have Bertans, you have Luka's mega deal, you have Finney-Smith, and we'll see what happens with the rest of their ball club moving forward. You have Tim Hardaway Jr. on the books. It's a very, very interesting situation when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks cap, if they'll be able to afford Jalen Brunson, as they're going to be under the cap. And that's the same thing with the New York Knicks. They're going to be under the cap. And there was those reports that the New York Knicks were interested in Jalen Brunson, even last offseason. It was kind of an approach to look out for him. And Leon Rose knows Jalen Brunson. He's been following him his entire basketball career. But we're going to have to unload some contracts if we are able to afford a Jalen Brunson in free agency. I think he's going to be asking for a pretty big bag. I'm not sure what that is yet. But we're going to have to move on from a Burks, a Noel. We're going to have to make some sign and trade maybe happen. Julius Randle, get rid of him. Julius Randle's from Texas. And maybe it's oh, it's going to be hard to afford some future stars, or it's going to be hard to afford some talent because we're under the cap. We're not going to have much flexibility to really sign any big time names. So Julius Randle is a talent. Maybe there's a question mark with the fit, but maybe a change of scenery, him being from Texas, will motivate him. And him being in a reduced role, playing without the ball, being more reactionary than doing less thinking out there on the basketball floor may benefit him. And he still has talent, so maybe we could figure it out here. So maybe that's like the Dallas Mavericks thinking if we do go on to make a deal. And Jalen Brunson is a competitor. Like, he's a mentally tough basketball player, so maybe he would like to play for Tibbs. His father used to play for the New York Knicks of Rick Brunson. But now let's really get into the meat and potatoes here. Like, who is Jalen Brunson? Jalen Brunson has really progressed as a basketball player this season. He's one of the most efficient shooters when it comes to isolation situations, like I mentioned. And a lot of people like to say, oh, he's only 6'1", so he's not great finishing at the basket, and oh, I don't want him, he's undersized. He's 6'1", but he's 190 and plays extremely physical. He's actually one of the most efficient finishers at the rim as well. He's one of the best guard finishers in the league, which I think is extremely impressive. He does a good job knocking defensive players off their spots. And he also has nice hesitation moves. He could back you down, surprisingly, and hit that fadeaway jumper. He is an in and out. He plays with great speed, change of direction. He's not some sexy athletic player, but he knows how to get to his spots. He's a 3-level scorer. He can play off the ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be successful. He's a good catch and shoot guy. He has that step back, which I really do like. We need some versatility in this offense, and Jalen Brunson, since he's such a great dribble penetrator and finisher at the basket, really dribbling into the teeth of the defense and just really executing there, it's going to get the defense to collapse and just set up easier shots for an RJ Barrett. And how many times have we not been able to create shots down the stretch because we just don't have consistent shot creators to shoot off the dribble when they are collapsing that paint? And that will change with a Jalen Brunson, in my opinion. But you could also say the offense is very bland of Tom Thibodeau, but at the end of the day, you still need shot creators. The best players in the league are big-time shot creators, like Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. You just think about some of the best clutch scorers, Kyrie Irving. It's just, you need those types of guys at the end of the day. And Jalen Brunson, he has a deep bag, like I mentioned. I would say he's a good passer. I'm not going to say he's a fantastic passer, but he is an unselfish player, and I feel like he fits well with an RJ, an Obi, whoever's a part of this lineup moving forward when it comes to being unselfish, but he knows also when to take over a basketball game, but like I mentioned, he can make the right passes as well. Now getting into his defense, I feel like he has a very high basketball IQ when it comes to the defense side of the basketball. Yes, he is limited as an on-ball defender at times, or a lot of times. You could just see guards, especially guards that are taller than him, with like a long wingspan. They're much longer than him. Of course, Jalen Brunson, yes, he is strong, but at the end of the day, he is only 6'1", and he doesn't have some crazy long wingspan. He isn't unique like a McBride. McBride may only be 6'1", 6'2", but he's like a 6'8" wingspan. You take a look. The same thing with Emmanuel Quickly. He may only be 6'2", 6'3", but he's a decently long wingspan. So most of the time, guards that are taller than him can just straight up shoot over him. It's not easy to back down a Jalen Brunson, but when there is length on him, when he's playing defense, that is definitely where he struggles. But he does a very good job closing driving gaps. He has very good awareness. He has very good positioning. He does a good job using his strength. Like, he could stay in front of certain personnel at times with his strength, but it's just his height. It's not very intimidating on the defensive side of the basketball all the time. But I do like him as a help defender. He's good, like, defending when he's not defending on the ball, and he closes driving gaps very well, and he really does try on that side of the ball. Not like he's lazy, but I really do like that he's in the right spot. You could tell he watches a lot of film. But the final conclusion here with Jalen Brunson, we know he could score the ball, and he's extremely efficient. That's one of the main things I love about him. He doesn't need to take 20 shots a game to affect a basketball game. I believe he attempted 13 shots per game, 12.7 shots per game, shot 50%. He's very efficient from the foul line, even though he doesn't get there a lot. Over 80% from the foul line, 50% from the field, 37% from three. He's an overall very solid basketball player. So that makes you think, does he move the needle? Does he move the needle? Is he a future star? I don't see future star. I see a very solid point guard that is a huge upgrade at that position. And if we do bring him in, we're going to have to get a star, or we're going to have to get a potential star that we look at very highly moving forward next to an RJ. Because at the end of the day, you can't just have one potential star in the lineup. You need more. And Jalen Brunson, I feel like he could be a very solid player for the New York Knicks, but we're going to have to make some moves happen. We're going to need some sign and trade. We're going to need some flexibility with cap space.